Hi, I'm David.
I'm Melissa.
We're neighborhood realtors.
We're your neighbors here in Southeast Fresno.
We also happen to be realtors who specialize in Southeast Fresno area.
So for this month, we're doing another fun DIY that I found on Pinterest. And this month's DIY is all about this guy right here.
So the story behind this is Oatmeal has officially taken over all our pillows, all our blankets, the couch, the bed. Basically, this home is his doghouse.
Pretty much. So we decided to build him his own little tent. Like a fancy kind of doghouse with his own matching little pillow. Hopefully we could maybe get some of our own pillows back.
Yes. Fingers crossed. It hasn't quite worked yet. He's still taking everything over.
But he seems to be enjoying the tent and the nicely covered pillow.
Yeah.
And we thought it'd be a fun DIY for, not just for this guy, but also for you guys if you wanted to make it a little bit taller for bigger dogs, a little bit smaller for cats, because I know how much cats love to be in small little enclosed spaces.
What would be really fun is for kids, someplace to play in. A really easy project, you just need a little bit bigger pieces of wood than what we use, but for the most part it'd be relatively simple and might be a fun place for them to build a little fort in.
Exactly, it's a pretty simple structure to make, as you'll see. So just some fun ideas and inspiration for you to make something like this for your home.
Yeah. So I hope you enjoy.
These are our main pieces that we're going to have across the front. They're 30 inches long. You're going to need 4 in total. They're going to overlap at the top so that they are your main structure of your tent. We made it 30 inches long so that it's tall enough for our dog to get in. And we're going to start by drilling at the top there. We're going to go through both pieces and then straight into our dowel to make it nice and sturdy and easily stored when not in use. So we're going to drill little starter holes at the end of each dowel to make it easier to screw in straight through these 2 larger, thicker pieces of wood. You're also going to have 2 more of these dowels that will be drilled into the bottom to make it a nice sturdy tent that will be able to stand up on its own. So we're going to start by drilling all the way through on these top 2 pieces to make it a lot easier to then screw straight into our dowels and easy to construct. And then make sure you drill all the holes on your dowels as well as the top and bottom before you start assembling. Alright, so we have all of our pieces pre-drilled. So now time to assemble. You can see here we have holes on both ends of the rod to make it easier to assemble down the road. So now we have our extra long screws. We're going to put them through the holes we've made on the top. And I do suggest, if you want to move around a little bit easier like this, to put a washer in between so it's easier to fold up the tent later. So we have everything pre-drilled and ready to go. So we're just going to drill straight into our rod like this to be the top of our structure. We're then going to drill straight into the bottom pieces of our other rods to make the bottom part of the structure. So let's start drilling. Alright, so we drilled straight through these pieces into our rod here. We did use the washer so it's easy to open and close here, as you'll see. So now we're basically just going to drill into the other side. So I enlisted the help here of David, and we're just going to basically do what we did on the other side. Go straight through these top pieces and drill straight into the rod. So it's pretty simple, as you'll see. We're basically just going to do the same things to the bottom, which is going to be actually easier since you're just drilling through 1 piece of wood instead of 2, and straight into the rods as well for the bracing pieces. So now, as you can see, we're going to set up the bottom bracing pieces. Sorry, it kind of got cut off when we were filming, but we're just going to drill straight into the bottom to basically finish the structure of our tent. And now, as you'll see, here's our completed tent. So we have the rods at the bottom attached to each side, and then the 2 pieces at the top drilled through and attached to the rod on each side as well. That's a pretty simple structure, pretty simple to make. So now we're going to basically cover this tent, cover this pillow, which our dog really loves, and then it'll be all ready for him. Alright, so now we have our completed structure. We're going to measure the top here to see how much width we need on our fabric. And I always suggest leaving at least 1 inch, if not more, for seam allowance, since we will want to finish the sides. Then we're going to measure from one side to the other. Now you could measure just each side like I'm doing here, but I would suggest going all the way across like I'm doing here, because you are going to need some additional fabric to cover the top rod. So now I have my fabric cut out. As you'll see, I left a lot of fabric at the end there because we're going to go ahead and fold that back up. But right now what I'm doing is rolling over the seam twice and ironing it down. This is going to give us a nice finished edge. We are using a large flat fitted sheet since I already have a finished edge on the other side there. So I'm basically just rolling the hem over twice, ironing it down, pinning it down, and then I'm going to run it through a sewing machine, or you can stitch it down by hand. So now that we have the finished edge on both sides, as you'll see here, I went ahead and laid it on top of the structure. So now I'm going to show you what I did to basically tack down the top. So what I did is pretty much smoothed out the sides, made sure it was the middle of the fabric, laid it on top of the tent here, overlapped the fabric here, and pinned it down. I did that so that we're covering up that lovely screw. Now just go ahead and pin it down, whatever is easiest for you to make sure that it's covering the screw. We're just going to tack it down by hand so it doesn't need to be able to go through a sewing machine. Then I went ahead and folded down the top part, basically making kind of like a little tab, and we're going to pin that down as well and sew them to each other. I made this relatively easy so that it's simple to sew down and also easy to take off of the tent and easy to wash. So we're just going to basically continue down the front here. You're going to see there's some excess fabric. Obviously, we're going to just cut a little slit so that it lays nice and flat on the front. And this extra fabric is going to be folded up and attached to the tent there. Okay, so what we did is cut a slit straight down from the wooden piece so that this piece can be easily wrapped around for the cover. I went ahead and stitched down this raw edge here. And then now I snipped in a little bit so we can finish the edge of the other one. But this one will easily be able to be tucked underneath and attached to the cover, because we don't want to actually attach the tent to the wood. That'll make it harder to take off. So now you're going to go ahead and stitch this down so you don't have any raw edges so it can go in the wash. Once that's done, you've got two little tabs and a nice little cutout here. So now that we have this, we can easily wrap around the wooden tent frame, and we're going to attach the fabric to the front so we have a nice little tent cover. So what I did here is just fold underneath the wooden frame, and then we're meeting it on the front of the tent here. Now we have this extra little tab piece. What we're going to do with that is go ahead and tuck it inside the frame as well. It'll give it a nice little bit of reinforcement where we're adding the additional stress of sewing the seam there. And then we're just going to tack it down by hand because that's going to be a lot easier. So just a little stitch there, and now we're on to the pillow. So this is pretty easy. I just measured the pillow. We're just going to sew along these seams here. This is a little bit big for the pillow, but that's okay. I just measured the pillowcase that was originally on this pillow. But we actually used the top of the fitted sheet that we were using for the tent cover. So I actually already have a nice little finished edge for the pillow there, which is convenient. So now we're going to go ahead and sew the raw edges. So now we have completed our pillow. I went ahead and did a little zigzag stitch and then cut with my zigzag pinking shears so that it won't fray. Again, I can throw this pillowcase in the wash. So now we're just going to put the pillowcase on our lovely pillow here. So one fun last little touch after we completed the tent is we decided to put a little nameplate on his tent. So we have some leftover wood here. It's actually from when we made the pallet bar. And I used the jigsaw here just to cut down the sign to the size that I wanted because it was a pretty large plank. And I kind of liked that it was kind of uneven, so I just cut off the sides to make it a little bit smaller, used my handheld drill just to drill a couple holes so we can put some wire or string through the top to hang it on top of his tent. And then I used just some regular old felt that you could buy at the craft store to cut out his name. I went ahead and used felt because it doesn't fray and it'll easily be attached to our little wood piece here with just some hot glue. I just cut it out with normal fabric scissors. We're going to hot glue it down and then see how the dog likes his new tent. So as you can see, Oatmeal likes his new tent. We've got his little sign up on top and all of our sides sewn down, so he's got a nice little tent. So thanks for watching. Say bye, David.
Bye.
Say bye, Oatmeal. cut out his name. So now I'm just going to basically glue it down onto here. Use some little, probably wire. You could even use, oops, as the letters float away. Okay, I think, is it in the frame? No, it's not. Yeah, I think you can see it. Oh, and I lowered it. Professional camera work here. Okay, so for this we've enlisted help. We need to connect this piece. Can you see me? Yes. Okay. This piece to our other side. Trying to do this on my own, slightly difficult. So we're going to have David help us.
What am I going to do?
You're going to put down your coffee.
I don't want it.
Too bad.
Okay.
Okay,